kind of sinking in more and more that tomorrow is happening and the trailer is coming out. To all the people who are up in my DMs trying to guess what character I'm playing, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to answer your DMs. This is the one time in my life where if you have something to say, I don't want to hear it. You can't check in. You're not an adult. Everyone's just ignoring my phone calls. Whatever, it's chill. I don't even care.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
Rachel Zegler just can't seem to stay out of trouble, even when given a fresh start. Her upcoming indie film, She Gets It From Me, which was supposed to mark a low-stakes comeback after the Snow White disaster, is already raising red flags.
Take some of this upon yourself. You don't have to grovel. You don't have to beg, but you screwed up. You are given a golden goose opportunity, and that golden goose is belly up. So what do you do?
According to multiple sources close to the production, filming is not going as smoothly as planned, and Zegler's behavior is reportedly part of the problem. Behind the polished press releases and carefully curated headlines about a comedy drama with heart, crew members are starting to whisper that the project may be spiraling off course. And if the rumors are true, Rachel is once again at the center of the storm.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
It's a pattern we've seen before. She signs onto a high-visibility project, headlines the news cycle for all the wrong reasons, then suddenly the vibe on set turns sour. What's happening now sounds eerily familiar. Word is there have been scheduling issues, slowdowns during filming, and moments of behind-the-scenes tension that are already causing headaches for the production team. While no one's gone on record yet, it's hard to ignore the signs.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities.
Some reports even suggest key scenes are being rearranged due to alleged conflicts or last-minute changes, with Zegler's involvement making certain aspects logistically complicated. Let's be real. After tanking Snow White with her smug press tour and painfully tone-deaf interviews, Zegler should be operating with an ounce of humility. But instead, she's back in the spotlight acting like the rules don't apply. And now, the indie film that was supposed to help her rebuild her reputation is showing early signs of falling apart.
That she believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else.
If these delays continue, it won't just be another bad look. It could be career-ending. Again, the irony is hard to miss. Rachel Zegler, who once stood on the brink of superstardom, now can't even headline a modest indie film without controversy trailing behind her. She Gets It From Me was pitched as a grounded, character-driven story, exactly the kind of role you'd expect an actress trying to prove her range to embrace. But Zegler's recent track record is making even this comeback feel more like a calculated PR stunt than genuine redemption. And fans aren't buying it. Online forums and social media threads are flooded with skepticism. People aren't just doubting the film, they're actively rooting against it. And that's not because of the story. It's because Zegler's name is stamped on the poster.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Why the backlash? Because she burned nearly every bridge with audiences during the Snow White rollout. Instead of selling the magic, she mocked it. Instead of respecting the legacy of the character, she trashed the original film as outdated and irrelevant. Disney fans, people who grew up loving these fairy tales, felt betrayed. And let's not forget the political undertones. Her statements weren't just off-putting, they were downright antagonistic. She managed to alienate half the country in under 30 seconds with her now infamous "Trump supporters will never know peace" remark. That's not bold, it's reckless. So now she's pivoting to indie work, but just because the budget is smaller doesn't mean the scrutiny is. In fact, in some ways it's worse. Independent film crews don't have massive PR teams to clean up messes. If Zegler is being difficult behind the scenes, again, those cracks are going to show, fast, and the public has shown it's more than willing to hold her accountable. At this point, no one's wondering if the film will be good. They're wondering how much longer the industry is going to pretend Rachel Zegler is worth the trouble. The backlash to Zegler's involvement in She Gets It From Me isn't just online noise, it's having real-world consequences, reportedly creating serious headaches for the production itself.
I shouldn't be cursing, but I'm gonna do it anyways because I have no self-control. Sorry, Mr. Mouse.
According to speculative industry chatter, there's already concern brewing among the film's crew. The whispers of tension are growing louder. From scheduling headaches to unexpected production delays, it's becoming harder to deny that something is off. And the common denominator, once again, appears to be Rachel Zegler. This isn't new behavior either. Ask anyone who followed the Snow White fiasco. That film didn't collapse just because of a bad script or uninspired visuals. It collapsed because its lead actress couldn't stop stepping on rakes. Whether it was mocking the original fairy tale, brushing off fan criticism, or making sweeping political statements during press junkets, Zegler consistently turned every PR opportunity into a potential PR disaster. And now, it looks like those same self-destructive habits may be bleeding into this new project as well. What's especially frustrating is that the studio behind She Gets It From Me Embankment is relatively small. They don't have the cushion of a Disney-sized budget or a Marvel-tier fan base. They were likely betting on this project as a charming, low-risk film with critical appeal. Instead, they've found themselves tied to an actress whose reputation is radioactive.
I'm gonna be on a talk show tonight, and I'm gonna talk shit about them on the talk show. Talking shit on the talk show.
Even before a single frame of the movie hits theaters, its potential is being swallowed up by Zegler's baggage. And the growing online movement calling for a boycott of anything she touches, it's not helping. What should have been a low-drama, high-reward opportunity is already circling the drain. And the scary part for Embankment is that they might be realizing, too late, that they've cast someone whose public image is beyond repair. And this time, the consequences won't be theoretical. They'll be visible, measurable, and painful. What's making this mess even harder to clean up is the fact that She Gets It From Me was supposed to be Zegler's fresh start. A smaller indie project, character-driven, paired with a respected co-star like Marisa Tomei, it was tailor-made to rehabilitate her shattered image. This was supposed to be the film where Zegler ditched the Disney disaster and proved she could carry a serious role without alienating everyone around her. Instead, it's already looking like another chapter in the same self-sabotaging saga. Multiple speculative reports suggest there's tension not just behind the scenes, but even between the two leads. And while Tomei has always maintained a professional public persona, one can only imagine the patience it takes to share a set with someone as polarizing as Zegler. The contrast is glaring. Tomei has spent years building a reputation for being talented, collaborative, and well-liked. Zegler, on the other hand, seems to attract conflict wherever she goes. Whether it's creative clashes, on-set stubbornness, or interview soundbites that age like milk, drama follows her like a shadow. And let's not forget, this is all happening before the trailer even drops. Usually, indie films like this fly under the radar until festival buzz kicks in. But Zegler's presence guarantees attention, for all the wrong reasons. Online forums are already dissecting every leaked set photo, every casting update, looking for evidence of dysfunction. Some fans who once supported her have flipped entirely, saying they're done giving her second chances. Others never came back after the Snow White debacle. And yet here she is again, potentially dragging down another film before it has a chance to breathe. If Zegler's goal was to reset her career, she's off to a terrible start. This was supposed to be her moment of redemption. Instead, it's looking like more of the same.
It's the most emotional experience that a person can go through to know that what they're working on is something that has reached a generation of people.
More chaos, more backlash, and more damage to clean up. At the center of all this is a question that just won't go away. Why does Rachel Zegler keep getting roles? For someone with a growing list of underwhelming performances and an even longer list of PR disasters, her staying power in Hollywood is baffling to a lot of people, especially when you consider the consequences her involvement had on Snow White. That movie wasn't just a commercial failure, it was a cultural embarrassment. And much of that shame was self-inflicted, led by Zegler's complete mishandling of the press, the fans, and even the legacy of the story she was supposed to honor. Now, as She Gets It From Me, inches closer to release, you'd think she'd be walking on eggshells, careful not to repeat the same mistakes. But once again, she seems oblivious to the optics. Allegedly, production insiders are already whispering about repeated delays, reworked scenes, and disagreements over tone. The official story, of course, is that everything is progressing as planned, but when a pattern starts forming, Zegler signs on, the project goes sideways. It's hard to believe that's just coincidence. Even her defenders are finding it hard to spin the narrative. They argue that she's young, still learning, deserving of grace. But how many chances can one person burn through before studios start seeing her as a liability rather than an asset? Talent can open doors, but at some point, accountability keeps them open. And right now, Zegler seems determined to test just how many doors Hollywood is willing to keep unlocking for her. This isn't about one film anymore. It's about the ripple effect. Every new controversy chips away at the goodwill the industry once had for her. And with every project she touches turning into a headline-generating circus, that well of goodwill is running dry, fast. And it's not just insiders feeling the burn. It's the audience too. Fans, former fans, and even casual moviegoers are starting to clock the pattern. A Rachel Zegler project drops, the drama follows. Then the delays. Then the awkward interviews. Then, like clockwork, the social media storm. And now, even before, She Gets It From Me has wrapped production. Some corners of the internet are already predicting disaster. They're not even asking if things will go wrong anymore. They're just waiting for the moment Zegler goes viral again, and not in a good way.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
People haven't forgotten how she laughed off Snow White's classic romance, or how she insulted the original story while promoting its reboot, or how she spoke down to audiences like they were somehow beneath her ultra-modern, ultra-empowered version of fairy tale storytelling. What Zegler doesn't seem to grasp is this. People don't like being lectured at by someone who hasn't earned their trust, especially not when that someone is starring in remakes of the very classics they grew up loving. It comes off as smug. It comes off as ungrateful. And worst of all, it alienates the very fans she's supposed to win over. Now, with She Gets It From Me, she's supposedly playing the daughter of a chaotic, rebellious, ex-punk rocker mom. It's a smaller, edgier indie project that, in theory, could have helped Zegler reset. A clean slate, a chance to show depth and vulnerability. But the vibes around the set, already tense. The press coverage, already skeptical. And the online conversation, brutal. People are circling this film like vultures, just waiting to see if it crumbles under the same pressure Snow White did. And if it does, Zegler won't just be blamed for ruining a fairy tale. She'll be the one dragging down an entire production. Again. The worst part is, Zegler doesn't seem to be adjusting. If anything, she's doubling down. There's a difference between having confidence and being delusional. And right now, she's walking that line with a blindfold on. After Snow White tanked harder than anyone expected, most stars would have gone quiet, regrouped, maybe even issued a heartfelt acknowledgement of how things unfolded. But Zegler? She's booking roles, posting with smug energy, and jumping right into the next spotlight without ever taking a moment to reflect. That kind of attitude doesn't read as resilience, it reads as arrogance. Let's be real, Snow White wasn't just a flop, it was a warning shot. A big-budget disaster that exposed the consequences of pairing a controversial lead with a film people actually cared about. Disney spent nearly $270 million, and the movie is still reportedly $96 million in the red. And while yes, there were many issues behind the scenes, Zegler's own behavior did more damage than most actors could dream of. Her interviews weren't just awkward, they were alienating.
Rachel, did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, Cry Me a River? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
Her jabs at traditional values didn't come off as revolutionary. They came off as dismissive. And audiences responded by doing the one thing studios fear most, staying home. Now, with She Gets It From Me in motion, some insiders are saying Zegler's already starting to wear thin on set. Not dramatic blow-ups, at least not yet, but a general tension that makes people uneasy. And once again, the whispers of disorganization, delays, and ego are back. Except this time, she doesn't have Disney's massive PR machine to shield her. This is an indie project. Smaller budget, less padding. If she causes a scene, it's going to be felt by everyone, from the director to the crew to the investors. This is her so-called comeback. But from the outside, it's starting to look like the same Zegler circus, just in a different tent. What makes this situation even messier is how disconnected Zegler seems from the very industry that once propped her up. Hollywood loves a comeback, sure, but it also has a short fuse when that comeback comes with more drama than talent. And right now, there's a growing sense that studios are watching her next moves very carefully, and not in a good way. This isn't about giving someone a second chance. It's about taking a gamble on someone who's already lost the house once and still acts like the dealer owes her a favor. It's not just the fans who are skeptical, it's the crew, the producers, and even the press. Media coverage around She Gets It From Me isn't buzzing with excitement, it's cautious. You can feel it in the language. Phrases like tentative support, unproven post-Snow White, and risk-adjacent casting. Translation? No one wants to fully commit to calling this a comeback. Because deep down, everyone knows how fast this could spiral if Zegler decides to open her mouth and launch into another viral mess disguised as a press quote. And let's not ignore how tone-deaf it all feels. At a time when the public is still dissecting what went wrong with Snow White, Zegler jumping headfirst into another high-profile role without even acknowledging the damage left behind feels like an insult.
Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all.
Not just to the audience, but to everyone who worked hard to salvage that disaster of a film. People lost money, jobs, and credibility on that project. Meanwhile, she walked away, seemingly unbothered, already lining up the next gig with zero accountability. There's a difference between bouncing back and pretending nothing happened. And if she gets it from me, ends up facing even a fraction of the backlash that followed her last film, there won't be any more hiding behind Disney. This time, the fallout will have her name written all over it. But the biggest red flag of all? Rachel Zegler still doesn't seem to get it. Even now, as the whispers turn into headlines and the headlines into questions no PR team can spin, she continues on like she's invincible. No apology tour, no reflection, no hint of self-awareness, just another role, another set, another smug soundbite waiting to drop. And honestly, that's what's rubbing everyone the wrong way. This isn't some rising star navigating early career missteps. This is someone who walked into one of the most prized IPs in Hollywood, detonated the goodwill around it, and somehow came out thinking she was the victim. There's a reason the buzz around her is no longer about performance, but damage control. Industry insiders are reportedly keeping her at arm's length. Still casting her in roles, yes, but without the same open arms and studio celebration. It's more like, let's see if this one crashes too. When even supportive outlets start shifting their tone, you know the tide has turned. They're not fawning over her anymore. They're bracing for impact. And behind the scenes, it's reportedly taking a toll on the projects themselves. Delays, rewrites, and careful repositioning of press materials, all because no one wants to trigger another Zegler media circus.
Like, who has been the most exciting person for you tonight? Oh my God. Besides, took the words out of my mouth. Besides.
It's like everyone is on edge, hoping she can just stay quiet long enough for the cameras to roll and the film to wrap. Not exactly the energy you want when trying to build momentum for a fresh new release. If Zegler truly wants to turn things around, she's going to have to start with humility. And from everything we've seen, that's still in short supply. Because sooner or later, even the most patient producers run out of excuses. And this time, the backlash won't be tied to a legacy remake. It'll be all hers. The irony in all of this? Rachel Zegler still thinks she's the main character in a redemption arc. That Hollywood is just a few box office wins away from forgetting the chaos she left in her wake. But what she doesn't seem to understand is that this isn't about one flop, or even a string of them. It's about trust, about how long the industry can keep betting on someone who keeps setting their own reputation on fire. At a certain point, no amount of indie charm, Oscar-adjacent co-stars, or carefully worded statements can cover for a personality that keeps drawing fire. Studios don't have the luxury of blind loyalty anymore. Not when audiences are this vocal. Not when backlash can tank pre-sales and trend worldwide before a film even premieres. That's why this latest project, what should have been a clean slate, is already feeling like damage control. The delays, the hesitation, the reworked schedules, they're not just unfortunate side effects. They're a symptom of a deeper problem. Nobody knows if they can trust Rachel Zegler to stay out of her own way, because behind every glossy press release and hopeful casting announcement is a quiet industry reality. Money talks, and controversy bleeds it dry. And Rachel, she's become a lightning rod. Not because she's some rebel shaking up the system, but because she's the star who talks first, reflects later, and burns everything in between. If this film goes down the same path, there won't be another safety net waiting underneath. So now the question is this: will Hollywood finally learn from the pattern? Or are they going to give her one more shot and brace themselves for the fallout? Do you think Rachel Zegler deserves another chance after everything? Or is this her last strike? Let us know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.